This is Not the Average Real Estate Podcast by Not Your Average Real Estate Investor. Dymphna Boholt used real estate investing strategies to completely replace the income from her accountancy practice with passive income in just 18 months and has since taught thousands of others to do the same. Welcome to the I Love Real Estate Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Dymphna here and welcome to today's podcast. So the topic of discussion today is a little bit off the property track, but what I find is that a lot of the things that are essential for property and running a successful property business are the same essentials that we need in any business. So I have my dear friend John Gian here. How are you, John?
Hey Dymphna, I'm here.
Yeah, got you on the couch finally.
Got me by the headlock, and here we are.
So I actually want to talk about business today. You would have to be the most successful business person in your field in Australia, without doubt.
Thank you.
So and obviously there's lots of different fields and specialisation, but I think across all businesses there are some fundamental elements that are important. So I've pulled out a few that I'd like to discuss with you.
Okay, this would be interesting.
The first one is one of the things that you are known for is your ongoing self-learning and training. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. I didn't think you were going to start with that. I'm glad you did, because...
Look, I've got you completely raw here.
Yeah.
We've got no preparation. I told him I'm not going to tell him what I'm going to talk about. He can just... Because then we get the real story. We get what you really think, and I think that's important.
Yeah, probably better that way. Preparation is, I think, overrated. And
Is that your message for business? Preparation is overrated.
well, in the sense of this discussion, probably
absolutely.
preparation, you sort of kind of manufacture what you think people might want to hear, and in this sense, I think we're best coming off what comes into the first instance. So self-education. I kind of discovered that 20 years ago as a consequence of not going through the formal education system and not having that formal training and going to university and sort of meandering through life, getting to a certain point. You get to a certain age and you want to improve your life, and you obviously can't go back to school, as a 36-year-old, 38-year-old that I was back then, and you're not going to go to university because everyone's half your age. So you look at other avenues and you look at opportunities, and those opportunities take you down the path of, if you're open to it, areas of self-education. And that's what has been a constant all the way through for my life, is the pursuit of self-education. And it's because I've been able to get a return on it, because I've invested in myself, whether it's through books or through courses or through business opportunities they may have bought. But I actually implemented some of the stuff now. Not everything I've learned I've implemented, but I've implemented a lot of the information effectively because I had no choice. I had a young family at the time, and I wanted to move forward. So the necessity to learn a skill, and I sort of dived into marketing because it was a skill that contextualized a lot across a lot of different industries. So I was looking for a specific skill, not for one specific industry, but something that would be broad enough. And it was funny because I dived into marketing to avoid selling, because when and today it's probably the same. If you don't have a lot of skills, you sort of end gravitating through some sort of sales training, becoming a salesperson, because it's kind of like blue sky, but anyone will give you a job if you say you're a salesperson. So I gravitated towards marketing because I was afraid of selling, which is very ironic.
Because you're basically a shy person at heart, aren't you?
Introvert, yeah. I'm not a big fan of public profile and stuff like that, but I'm okay.
You kind of have to be from a business perspective.
From a business perspective, you have to be, I would say, aggressive in the sense of intense. Yep. Aggressive in the sense of showing up. Aggressive in the sense of taking risks. Not an introvert in those senses, but not necessarily, having a need to be on stage or to be the profile, or to, that wasn't, that wasn't a goal. Although part of that self-education process, I remember a time when I used to go to Anthony Robbins events, and I went for I think 5 years in a row to his event UPW.
Yep.
And I went there first as a student, and then the second year I went there to measure myself, because he used to come at the same time in the same period, and measure myself progress. So I would go there once, learn stuff, got excited by his stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I read his book and I did the Ultimate Edge, and then I went to his UPW, and I was getting value. I was in, like-minded space, people who were excited, moving in a certain direction. I liked that. And that's sort of, part of that is what got me into the seminar business, because I thought, well, what do you want to do in life? Well, I want to be with people who are on that same path. So that's kind of like how I gravitated to the seminar business eventually. But I would go to Anthony Robbins events every year for 5 years. And as I went through, towards the latter end, I was more looking at his craft rather than my measurement. But whilst I was there, I was measuring myself. Where was I last year compared to this year? How do I progress forward? What am I implementing from the strategies wise? And then I was looking at more of the craft of the business. What is Anthony Robbins doing from stage? How are they filling the room? And I got into trying to work that out back then. So yeah, I spend a lot of money on self-education, and
you still do to this day.
Well, one of the great things about making money is you can spend more money, and
true.
You can buy all sorts of stuff, and eventually you just you've got discretion around what you're buying. You just don't buy anything for the sake of anything. I mean, that's at the early days of wealth. But now I'm always constantly looking for an edge. And what I love about that is the bigger your business is, if you can learn a tactic and apply it to a small business, well, that's going to create some impact in your business, but it's only going to be a small impact. You learn that same tactic and you've got a bigger business, well, the impact is greater. So I can spend $5,000 on course training, mentoring, consulting, and I do that. And the impact is so much greater than $5,000. The return on my investment is massive. So I have no fear in investing money, crazy money, $50,000, $40,000. I mean, I probably have a $200,000 budget a year just on tools, trades, mentors, consulting, and the like.
Self-education.
Self-education, yeah. And I mean, we sell it as a as a concept,
and we both believe in it 100%.
Yeah, and I think the term is one thing I tell my team is congruency, and we're totally congruent. I mean, you do, you're on a slightly different self-education path. You do the spiritual stuff, the protect your energy stuff, which is important because you're so front-facing and there's all eyes on me sort of thing.
That's right.
And you want to make sure that the bad juju doesn't come through, and you've got these invisible force fields.
More that I can give out the good juju.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Around.
It's that you're looking in that sort of atmospheric spiritual sort of stuff, which I did also part of that when I first started, and I left that because I wanted to create more income in my life, and I'm finding myself. We were speaking earlier about the documentary Heal, and I'm finding myself going back to that sort of, that sort of stage, Deepak Chopra, Ayurveda medicine, more yoga, more meaningful stuff. I'm finding myself, I'm enjoying some of that at the moment as well. So I'm adding some of that just to round myself.
I think it's a factor of flavour of where you're at. And we're of similar age groups, and as we get older, health becomes very, very important.
Yeah, so you can't hide your age, because I know we're the same years.
That's right. Okay, so enough on that. Let's talk technology. Technology is constantly changing, and I mean, in our field, technology plays a very big part in what we do, both from a delivery perspective, but also from a marketing perspective. But across all businesses, how do you stay on top of new technology, new ways of doing things, all that kind of stuff? Do we just, employ toddlers?
7 or 8 year olds to set up our Instagram, account.
That's
and
the one.
And the latest thing is TikTok, which you probably don't even know about.
I do know what TikTok is.
Oh, okay, good. It's apparently the Chinese spying tool.
Oh, is that what it is?
Well, I've heard that government departments have actually banned TikTok.
Have they really?
Government employees cannot use TikTok because of their concern of the fact that it's a Chinese-based app.
Yep.
So, which is an interesting thing in itself, that they would actually, they can do that, and they are doing that. So, I mean, you mean technology from the point of view of things are moving, and
having to stay up to date with all that stuff, because you can't get left behind. I mean, back in the day, you'd put an ad in the local yellow pages or in the newspaper. Well, those days are well and truly gone.
Yeah. So from a business point of view, if we're talking about the business side of things, the reality is it's never been easier to start a business. The barrier of entry has come down so much that anybody can start a business.
You don't even need physical premises.
No, you can access the global market from the comfort of any home, anywhere in the world.
Any computer.
Exactly. But that also creates the dichotomy of the other point. Because of it's been so easy, people start any business for any good reason without any great sense as to what they're starting, why they're starting it. They just get motivated. They see a 21-year-old life coach who's telling them to go out there and be an entrepreneur, and they get excited by that, and they believe in that journey, in that message, and they're off. And there's the thing we've got today is confusion, because there's so much distraction. So from an opportunity point of view, it's never been easier, but from the fact that human beings are easily distracted, it's never been harder as well from the distraction point of view. From our point of view, if you're following it along, essentially, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's 3 big platforms that really control media today. When we first started, we had newspaper, radio, TV, right? And they were difficult beasts to get into. Newspaper easier, radio easy, but also hard to get a call to action in place, and TV expensive. Today we've got Facebook, Google, and YouTube. And YouTube and Google are the same things. So essentially, there's 3.
And Instagram and
part of Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's a little bit different. It's there, but it's more. That's a vanity platform, we call it, and it's harder to monetize, and it's associated to Facebook. Facebook is the behemoth of advertising. I mean, which
is dangerous because it's only one entity.
True, and they own the platform. So and it's frustrating in that sense, because from a business point of view, there's they can just make the rules.
They control pricing because they're a monopoly.
They control pricing. You don't exactly know how their algorithm works. If you build an audience on there and then you get banned, you lose your audience. So there's all those things that you have to understand, and you have to use that to your advantage, and obviously promote your stuff through Facebook, but be able to create your own platform by taking that audience offline, by simple things like creating an opt-in to an email. So then email is your property, and Facebook is their property. But what I love about Facebook, Google, and YouTube is they've all become platforms where you can serve your own ads on, right? So businesses can go on and actually place ads on there, and they've made it really easy. Again, easier to get in, easy for anyone to advertise on Facebook. Now, to make it work is a skill set. You have to persevere, but to get on the platform, it's just amazing. And to actually target the right audience, incredible. I mean, these tools I'm just amazed at how you can laser target the right person almost at the right time, right? You have to pay, the deeper you go into that qualification, higher. So you have to have a model that can support that. But these tools are just amazing, and they're getting smarter and smarter and smarter with AIs and the like coming through.
The whole world's changing with it all.
So and this is part of the self-education process. Yeah. You either, if I stop today and decide I'm going to go on holiday and come back in 2 years' time, I'm stuffed because I have to catch up. And things move incrementally slow, but over the course of 2 years, very, very fast.
Yep.
So you either stay in tune with what's going on, or you get left behind. You get left behind. And I think for a lot of business owners, they've given up.
Yeah.
And then they default to a consultant. They default to because these platforms are self-serving ad platforms. What's happened as a trend? There's hundreds and thousands of agencies of kids who go, that 55-year-old butcher who wants to get on social media and doesn't really get it, I'll serve his ads because he doesn't even know where to start.
No.
So, and the level of skill is really skin deep. There's some really smart guys, but all they're doing is jumping on the platform and playing with the platform and serving your ads. But the level of skill isn't really mastery. So you don't know what you don't know. So you have to get involved in how you cut through with those platforms. And it's not technology. It still comes down to message to the right market at the right time. So whilst we can talk about technology, the fundamentals of 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years ago still apply. These platforms are just accelerators.
Interesting way of looking at it. Let's talk about bigger businesses, obviously, with staff and managing staff and training staff and all of those things, which, you know, I as an accountant, I used to talk to lots and lots of business owners, and the bane of their life was keeping up with staff and having the right people and the right culture and all of those things that you know, staff retention. And one of the things that you are renowned for is staff retention. You know, some of your staff have been with you for 20 years.
Yes.
I think I've been nearly around for that long. Not that I'm staff, but still. But you know, that says a lot for your business management.
I think, and I say this and people kind of laugh, I think I get lucky in some areas, you know, like I get lucky.
It's not luck.
I get that, and I put it down, you know, maybe it's just the way I think about it. Somehow we've been able to attract good people. So I go back and I think, well, you know, how others have asked similar questions, and I put it down to luck, and they also sort of laugh and say, well, it can't be luck, it's got to be something else. So I think we're in a good industry for a start. We've got a business that supports progress and culture and change and
personal growth.
Yeah, and personal growth, right? So it's a success-driven.
Yep.
We're selling a success-driven concept, philosophy, and internally, if someone comes and leaves, I'm not upset by that.
No.
So my thinking around is, and I've said this to my staff, if you come and go as a better person than what you arrived, then I've achieved.
Yeah.
You know, I've done a good job.
I agree with that. Yep.
And I'm never one to get in the way of ambition. So if someone comes and is ambitious enough to go off to do bigger and better things, I support it.
Yep.
I mean, I don't like it. Sometimes it's inconvenient to me, but I support it.
Absolutely. So do I.
It's the energy that you come from sometimes that predicates what happens in that environment. My leadership style is a bit different to most. I micromanage and I macromanage. I'm micromanaging the little things that I want to get done quickly. And I go to the office, you know, 4 times, 5 times a week. And I also macromanage. I mean, we're talking about big picture stuff, long, you know, what are we going to do in 2 years? What are we doing this year? So I'm in the culture of the community. So in a lot of ways, I'm leading from the front. I'm not a sit in the office, don't talk to the staff, they don't see you, you know. So I lead from the front in a lot of ways, and I'm in the HQ in the office. And the other thing that's probably as important is the selection process. We go through, and you've been through this, and we've put it through some of our high-end students, and this is something that impacted me 20 years ago. We go through a certain, it's not a psychographic, it's not a
personality profile.
No, it's an attitudinal test.
Yeah.
So
it's not a test.
Well, it's not a test.
It's an analysis.
Exactly. It's an attitudinal analysis to find out if people suit certain roles. So because the selection, and I think this is probably the real
So you're working with their strengths, not their weaknesses.
And we know that they're suited, right?
Yeah.
So they have to fill out this questionnaire, analyses all their strengths and weaknesses, and opportunities for us to coach and train, and not employ, you know. So for example, if you've got somebody who it's amazing how many people don't do any of this, and then they think it just didn't work out. That person was, you know, a complete monster. They interviewed so well, right? And you get that. People interview so well, but their chart, the analysis, says something different.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've got a coach who coaches us through that, and they always say, look for a better applicant. Look for a better applicant.
And I also think your ongoing training with staff is important. You know, because of the industry we're in as well, there's always, you know, training and education available that they can tap into, and you bring in other training specifically for their areas and things like that. And I think, you know, when you have a group of people who are all working towards a common goal, which is the other point I want to bring up, and that's, you know, having a common goal and a mission and a vision that everybody can jump on board with and be part of, I think that's very important for business.
Yeah. I mean, vision is, you know, probably not enough companies do it because they're, you know...
It's a thing written down on a piece of paper as opposed to an actual culture in the business.
Yeah, and it's, again, predicated by the leader. You know, is the leader a visionary? Is the leader... You know, I mean, so many businesses evolve and grow organically that, you know, they're just... You know, they're looking for a better life. The business owner essentially is looking for a better life, and you know, and then the staff is actually getting in the way of their better life because now they're caught up in the minutiae of running the business.
Which you have to.
Which you have to, but you can't grow the business. You know, you've got the Michael Gerber ideas of running a business and growing a business. You can be in both roles, you can be in both roles.
Yep.
But yeah, you've got to be growing the business or working on the business rather than working in the business. And the percentage of that is important from your own perspective. So I think the trick is the selection process. If you select right, and I think that's why a lot of people stay, because we select right, then we're in a business which has success oozes out of the process.
What we do, yeah.
We do have trainings, but we're doing more of that. We want more training. And the other thing is, in our business, we also pay people well. I mean, there's all these stories at the moment, especially in the restaurant industry, underpaying, Woolworths, banks, financial planners. Everybody's underpaying, and I was thinking, am I underpaying? Are we underpaying? And then we always pay above award, but
sometimes the award creeps.
but sometimes you don't know what the award is, or they're in a different award. So we generally pay people better, and again, that's predicated on the ability of the business to have profit or have success to be able to pay better. And the other thing is we've got a lot of entrepreneurs. You know what I mean by that?
Yep.
There's people within the business who actually benefit from the growth of the business.
Yes.
And we're talking, there's a lot of entrepreneurs in our business. I've got 4. Now, I haven't got 1. So they're actually partners in the business, but not in the sense of official partners or shareholders or anything like.
But they benefit from profits.
But they benefit from the growth of the business. Yeah. So, we've got people earning doctors' incomes, surgeons' incomes in the business, but they only do that from the success. And those guys also create a leadership perspective, in the key roles, key departments. So put all that together, and we've got a lot of people on long service leave.
or a lot of people accumulating long service leave.
Or very rapidly moving towards long service opportunities, which is a bummer, like 3 months off. You're just happy to, I'd rather pay them out and then they can go on a short holiday.
A lot of times that's what they prefer as well. Now, we've talked a lot about strengths. One of the things working with you for, a long time, that might be one of your weaknesses is admin. Am I right on that one? So, how do you work with your weaknesses as well?
Well, that shows up on the chart.
It does.
The confronted paperwork off the charts, right? And I recently did another chart.
Did you see my chart, by the way?
Pretty good, actually. I was shocked. I thought, it actually knows if you're engineering. Like if you're putting your best foot forward and you're kind of thinking the questions out. And that didn't obviously come up on yours. So it was what we call a truthful outcome analysis. So you're much better at paperwork than me, by the way.
Well, I am an accountant.
Yeah.
Not that I'm the normal kind of accountant that loves paperwork. I don't, but it is part of the course.
Yeah, but knowing you, it's also that was a little bit of a surprise because you're not that.
I'm not that person. No.
That sort of Nazi detail person. So for me, it's about knowing your weaknesses and making sure. For me, I'm not improving my weaknesses. That's the attitude. I've got my partner Connie, life partner, works in the business. She's amazing at.
So you've compensated. You've got people in place to cover that off.
I know. I think it's a point.
And recognising them.
Exactly. So I know what I'm weak at. So it's instead of trying to improve your weaknesses, I'd rather improve my strengths, because that's what gives me the biggest return on money.
Yeah,
a lot of people try to improve their weaknesses and forget about amplifying their strengths.
And that's the point I wanted to bring out, because when you're working with your strengths, you're also psychologically having a little win. So every time you're successful, because you're getting an accomplishment, an achievement each time. Whereas where you're trying to fight your weaknesses, it's kind of like banging your head against the brick wall sometimes, and you're almost teaching yourself to fail. So by working with your strengths, you're automatically in a better frame of mind. You're in that accomplishment cycle that gives you that subconscious belief that what you do is successful.
Yeah, and I agree. I never thought of it like that, but you generally have more wins, and more wins leads to confidence, and confidence leads to more action, and more action leads to more wins. But you also have lessons along the way. But I never thought of it like that. But generally I don't try and improve my weaknesses. In a business.
But you recognise it.
I recognise it, but I get somebody else to support.
Support.
I'd rather just continually run fast towards my strengths rather than trying to.
And you've been renowned for that for a long time. So if someone's thinking about going out into business, what advice would you give them?
Do it sooner rather than later. You will never know if it's the right thing or the wrong thing for you until you do it. The reality is it's going to be a lot harder than you appreciate at the start. And if we all knew how hard business was at the beginning,
we'd never do it.
We'd never do it. We would never have begun. So
you don't become a business owner so that you can have time off.
Yeah.
Which is a big fallacy out there. People think you do.
You don't. Eventually you can have a lot more control over your time.
Sure.
And there's a couple of reasons why you should get into business, and it's probably not I'll get to what they should do. It's because the financial system is heavily geared towards business owners.
Yep.
From a tax perspective.
Yep. Structuring perspective.
Robert, if anyone's Robert Kiyosaki, I mean, he's our love-hate relationship with Robert for different reasons. But the love part of him coming out and saying, with income, it's how income is treated. It is very important. If your income gets taxed, you have what's left. Generally, that's a job.
Yep.
In business, income, you spend, and then you get taxed. That significant shift is massive when it comes to how much money can end up in your pocket, and then from that point of view, from a point of view of growth or point of view of investing, which we all, I encourage people to invest.
And also structure, because you can control the vehicle through which you earn your income, which can be more tax efficient than a job, or is more tax efficient.
Yeah, so that's important.
Yeah.
Like getting into business.
Totally.
Or being a business. I mean, you don't have to have like a business with 55 staff or 30 staff or 10 staff, but you have to understand business structure quickly. Now, you don't generally do it for that because you don't have a lot of income to worry about at the start. You're doing it for different reasons. You're doing it sometimes you have no choice. Sometimes you hate your boss, and then you end up becoming the boss. Hating yourself in essence for a long time until you get stuff and you can hate them. But getting into business sooner rather than later is really important. But there's the other side, the downside where, you're really now taking all the risk on income, your own income. You could be moving from a $100,000 job, $200,000 job to a $0,000 job, but you're in business. What business should you get into? Well, a lot of people sometimes talk about following your passion.
Passion, yeah.
That could be good. If there's a market in your passion,
that's it.
Right? That could be good. Now, the great thing about passion today is the globalization, right?
There might be other people following your passion, and it might only be a small percentage, but on the world stage, it could be large.
So you've got to be in tune to that. You've got to in tune. Does my passion contextualize to England, America, especially America, because America's 320 million people. And if your passion...
Or China, or India, or,
True,
a lot of those sub-markets.
But I'm just thinking of English-speaking people. So does your passion contextualize, does it cross borders? So if it crosses borders, and what is it, your passion? Is it a service? Is it a product? Is it a thing? What is it? And you can start a small business and grow into a big business if it's something you're passionate. Now, the downside is following your passion and it goes nowhere because no one's willing to buy what you're passionate about, in that marketplace. So being in tune to the market is one thing, and it starts with the market. So instead of thinking about which business should I be in, the way I thought about it at the start is which market should I be in, right? That's how instead of thinking which business, I knew the business from a structure point of view. I was in the seminar business and I was adding value to the seminar business. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're thinking of starting a business and you're working, like, let's say you're a lawyer or a doctor or, a truck driver or, a nurse or whatever, it doesn't matter what you are, I suggest going and, if you can, work in the business that you're thinking of starting as initial start somehow.
So you understand it from the grassroots.
So go and take a test and see the nuances of that business, to see the challenges they have, the opportunities they have, the distribution they have. So go and work for someone within that business. Like if you want to start a digital agency now at 50 years old, it's not something that, we're going to be doing. But if you're younger and you're listening to this and you want to start in the digital, go and work for digital agencies. There's hundreds of them out there, and work, in that space, work
Understand what it means to be in that business.
Yeah, and see how the business operates, see their market, see their pricing, and see how
And
they
almost
attract.
be above the business in that you're looking at the craft, as we indicated before, as opposed to just your job. You're looking at how it runs.
And it's okay to get less money because you're really apprenticing for something bigger.
Agreed. Yep.
And you're okay with that
because
you're not concerned about the money, you're concerned about the apprenticeship because you're going somewhere, right? It's not unethical, you've got a job, people think, well,
you're adding value.
You're adding value, they've employed you, they've got a revolving door of employees anyway, and in that market, the younger the market, the general, the high turnover it generally is. So, or whatever business you're thinking of starting retail, just look for trends, read reports. I mean, retail is a tough business today. It's obviously trending down from a physical retail location, but from an e-commerce perspective, it's trending up. So retail, but what retail? Online retail or physical retail? You're going to open up a restaurant. How are you going to be different? So that's the business market. So look for the market first and see if there's a market, and then start adding the business skills. And there's really 3 business skills that you need to get your head around. One thing is lead generation. Being able, once you understand your market, then you have to have the ability to attract clients, to be a lead generation person. That's our skill, that's my skill, right? And that's the stuff that I've taught you, or you've kind of got better at over time as well, from the ability, from a lead generation perspective and all the campaigns we've done. So understand lead generation to attract a lead into a business and to put it on your platform through an email sort of scenario. The second stage is conversion, understanding the conversion aspect from that lead to conversion. And there's lots of different things you can think about conversion. It revolves around the offers that you make. And the third stage is understanding then how to use that and having the right pricing model as well, and then scaling. So
and that applies to whether you're selling, rubbish bins or a seminar. The principles are the same.
Yeah. So getting really good at lead generation, and there's hundreds of courses of lead generation. You eventually find the better ones. Lead generation, conversion, and scale is what we consistently think about, and what we consistently master, and what we consistently train towards.
Well, thank you, John, for being on my couch, or on your couch, actually, and sharing the podcast with us. I'm sure there's some absolute gems there that people in this space can really take away and do something with. Implement. It's about implementation.
Ultimately, that's where the we say in the office, you put a square, you draw a square, and in the square you put the number, and the number could be how many sales I got this month, or could be how much money I made at the end of the year, and we say that's the only truth is that what's in that box. Everything else is bullshit. So whether you do it on a monthly, daily, yearly basis, you take a piece of paper, draw a box, put a number in there, and that's the only truth that matters. And you can just grow from there.
Grow the box.
Yeah, grow that number in the box, or incrementally go back to the box and see have you grown.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening. I hope you found that informative. I know I have. And I'll be back again to talk to you on another podcast. See you then. Bye now.